gave you all of my money, time after time. You tell me wrong, it's just like a dream. You let all my friends come over and eat. You were so strange. You didn't have the decency to change the sheets. Oh girl, when you were mine, I used to let you wear all my clothes. You were so fine, so fine. Maybe that's the reason why it hurt me so. I know. Sorry. All right, you guys. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Gap and Jam, episode 53.
53.
We are back from South by Southwest.
Yes, we are.
This episode is asking the question, well, a couple things. It's asking the question, is South by Southwest worth it? Because it is a pretty expensive trip overall. And then also we're going to give a couple of tips, suggestions for other people who are new to the experience as we were.
Yes.
First impressions from us.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So what do you want to start?
Okay, first of all, I want to let you know that this kind of accompanies a blog post that we just put up last night, 29 observations about South by Southwest in Austin too. So it has a whole bunch more than what we're going to share here, but we want to focus on South by Southwest for this episode. Okay, so I have a gazillion little points.
Okay, well, go ahead, start.
Okay.
Let's go.
What was weird for us, we stayed 7 days, and we got there on Sunday night, but then Monday was our first full day. There was no even though music track was supposedly had started, there was no music being played during the day until Wednesday. We know there were showcases at night, but when we were walking around, we didn't see evidence that there was music happening, which was weird for us.
Yeah.
Because we expected, and the sessions hadn't actually started. So it's weird. They said it started, and the showcases started at night.
Right.
But the actual panels didn't start during the day, and neither did the live music showcases.
Yeah.
So that was kind of weird. So we felt like we kind of got shortchanged a little bit.
Yeah, to some extent. I mean, it's and this is something that we can you're probably going to tap into more towards the end.
Okay.
But it's really like South by Southwest is just so huge.
Yeah,
and there's really so many different things going on, and and so many different venues that you really have to have a strategy as to how you're going to.
So that's tip number one.
Right.
Try to have a plan ahead of time.
Have a plan ahead of time. And I'm not saying that, you will stick to your plan.
Right, but at least.
But have a plan ahead of time. And then you really have to come there saying, what am I going to get out of South by Southwest? Because the conference is just so huge, so big. And
then there's so many artists. There are 80 stages, like going full time once they get going. There are 80 stages, and they're spread all across downtown Austin.
Yes.
Different places that are not like just a quick walk from one to the other. Yeah. So we kind of was strategic with like Sam Fender.
Yeah.
Because he was showcasing different places on
he
different
was, and that's
nights.
The thing is like there might have been even places that we didn't hit where they may have had showcases that we might have just missed.
Yeah.
Just simply because we didn't venture as far out. Because when we saw Sam Fender, I mean, we had to really walk a nice little distance.
Because he had been he was going to be at the Fender house, and we were in the Fender house, but it was going to be late at night. Yeah. And we wanted to catch him a little earlier, so we had to walk quite a ways.
Yeah, in order to actually find it.
During the day.
And even still, I don't even know if even beyond where we saw him, there may have been more showcases going in further down and going further out. And then I think there might have been more showcases going even in the opposite direction.
Yes.
So,
it's massive.
Yeah, it is really huge and massive. So you really kind of have to have a good strategy as to what are your objectives when you go to South by Southwest. If you're going to be there for the film portion of it and you're doing music, I mean, there's definitely opportunities to meet people and to network with people. And that way you got to think about that too. You might want to start looking at films that you think your music would be good in.
Yeah, so that's another tip.
Right.
So even strategy as far as who you're trying to
to connect with professionally in other areas, because we kind of wanted to see a little bit of the film portion. We didn't end up attending many sessions related to film, but just to even kind of get a vibe for what happens during that part.
But at least if you can kind of get an idea of what films will be showing, get a vibe for the filmmaker, figure out, hey, based on what I do and what this filmmaker does, I think maybe my music would be good to go on that filmmaker's films. And then maybe kind of plot out how you can maybe meet that filmmaker.
And there are opportunities.
Yeah, there are always opportunities there to actually do that. So that's another way that you can kind of grow. And that's the same thing with gamers.
Yeah,
there's tons of those
it's massive.
Yeah, it is really massive. So
I don't even know. You just have to keep going. And keep connecting.
And get the schedule as as soon as possible.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about that. Okay, so online we were trying to get the schedule ahead of time, and it just seemed impossible to actually find what sessions, what speakers, what topics, until we downloaded the app. But that was like a day before. And we didn't know that that's where you actually see. So it would have been helpful, and this is just a tip for South by Southwest people, to let us know on the website, go to the app in order to schedule and see what's available.
Or for people who want to go to South by Southwest, this is the other thing too. Kind of, you might want to find out exactly what's happening, and then find out what level of access do you want to buy? Because depending on the level of access that you want, that's how much it's gonna, much more it can cost you. I mean, you can have it where you just, get like wristbands or whatever. And then that'll get you into certain places without necessarily getting to see panelists and stuff like that. And you wouldn't need the, you don't even need the badge and that type of thing. However, there might be certain networking opportunities. An opportunity to actually meet certain panelists that you won't have access to unless you have the badge.
Some lines they actually checked and scanned, and you had to have the right color, because each type of access has a different color, which means that this is the music one, but there's the film, there's the game, and then of course there's the platinum that gets you everything.
It gives you access to everything, and what it does is it gives you kind of like, for lack of a better word of putting it, premium access to everything. Because like you can have like maybe like a premium access to music, and then secondary access to like film.
That's
and that
what we
type of
did.
thing.
We had secondary access to film.
Right. So that means that if there becomes a situation where something is getting filled up, that the people with premium access to film are going to given priority. That's basically it.
Right.
When they're lining you up, and they're kind of gauging how many people are going to be there. But I'll be honest with you, I don't think we ran into one session that was completely full. And so kind of based on that, I think that as long as you have some type of secondary access, I think you're good.
I think the Ari one might have been.
You may have been full.
That might have. Okay, so I'm going to just go straight down my list, and if you want to hop in, if you hear an observation or tip that you want to add. First two sessions were soul dry and disconnected. So, and I don't want to name names, specifics, and all that, but a tip, for the people who are, doing sessions or going to sessions is, be engaging and entertaining, because entertainment is the key function, and then have some takeaways. So some of these sessions, it seemed like the panelists were talking to themselves.
Right.
So, try to map out. So what we ended up doing was, after that, we kind of mapped out several in case something ends up being a dud.
Right.
You can get up and leave that one and go to one that's down the hall or around the corner or in the next room.
And that's almost a better way of doing it from, because I don't know if the people who are panelists, I don't know if they give a shit. But for you, as a person who might be paying your money to go.
Thank you. We're trying to see if it's worth. This is a pretty significant
So what
you
do is you line up maybe several sessions at the same time, and especially we found that with the music, unfortunately, a lot of times they had a lot of good stuff all together.
In the same time.
Amanda Palmer and David Byrne were going at the same time.
And then there were a couple other side sessions that were like music marketing or branding, and I'm like, this is my jam. I want to see what they're talking about, but
they're all happening at the same time. And
so
that makes it kind of difficult to do that. But with some of these other sessions, it's sort of like as we start to learn more about it and
we
learn
didn't
more
put
about
all our
navigating.
eggs in one basket anymore.
You start to understand that that's kind of the best way to line it up. But I think, downloading the app as soon as possible.
As soon as they make it available.
And then kind of saying, okay, this is what I want to do, this is what I want to do. And then, they got these things called express passes.
And we didn't know about the website didn't tell us about it. Yeah. We found out from sitting next to somebody who said, hey, you could get an express pass.
Right.
Like why are we finding out in the streets?
Priority to getting in there. And then they have these mentor sessions, which they really didn't explain those either. And that kind of gives you like 15-minute one-on-one meetings with people who are in the industry, whatever industry. I think they might have them for
every. I think
they definitely have it for music, gaming, whatever else.
Yeah.
And so again, this is where, if you're strategically looking at things and you think about an industry professional that you would like to talk to, have some one-on-one time with, you can kind of plot that out, seeing that person's going to be there. And then what you want to do is you want to reserve your time as quickly as possible.
Yeah, because those spots fill up
very quickly. Yeah. And a lot of times most people are going to show up for it. And to the extent that people don't show up for it, there's a long line
of people waiting
to see
get
that person.
And along the same line, it wasn't on my list, but brand collaborations, if you know in advance, they have an exhibition hall where they have brands that are showcasing your startups and other types of businesses, and some established businesses. If you know what brands are going to be there, this is a good time to kind of network to get to know them, so that maybe you can end up with a brand collab, which is going to be on our network next year for sure.
Right. So these are just all things that we kind of learned from going this year.
Right. This is our first time.
Yeah. So. And it just wasn't a lot of videos online that really kind of explain to you the ins and outs of the way South by Southwest is kind of run and structured.
Yeah.
And so understanding that part of it, it's critical. I mean, because you get there, the first thing you need to do is you got to go and register and get your badge.
Yeah. Or then they give you also a little handy, it's cute, recycle bag, for your stuff. So that's kind of nice too.
But the badge is very important because it gets you into everything, and that badge is a way that you're identified. Right. So and as far as I know, they don't have no way of having that same badge on your phone or something like that.
And that was kind of disappointing too, since that one of their tracks is interactive.
Right.
That they're supposed to be kind of forward thinking on that.
Right.
Yep. And then so again, there were times when nothing related to what we were interested in was going on, and then there were times it was overflowing.
Yeah.
I mentioned the app. It is amazing that people are from all over the world. So,
yes, they are.
So literally, whatever you are interested in, there are people who you can connect with. Everywhere we looked, I heard voices. They were speaking in different languages.
They were. I mean,
and you think they were just regular black people, white people, Hispanic people, but they were speaking in tongues I had never heard before.
Yeah, I mean, when we were in the Ari class, there was a young lady who was sitting next to us who was from Australia.
Yeah.
I mean, and so that's kind of,
people come all the way.
Yeah, you just see people we saw a band from Australia.
Yeah, we saw a band from Cuba.
Yeah. Just all over, and so it is truly an international type of festival.
So kind of be prepared for that, because maybe your connections aren't going to be from the people in Hollywood. It may be with a Bollywood.
Yeah, that's true.
Type of hookup.
That's true.
So
it's
you can
be all over the world.
Yeah. I really love the sets. So, my thing is for us was to get as much mileage as we could. So if you're a blogger, vlogger, podcaster, there were people conducting interviews in the streets. They were or in front of the South by Southwest. Backdrops, they have them all over the place, so it's a good opportunity.
Yeah.
And I even saw people who interviewed, like, some of the stars from the movies, because they premiered, the South by Southwest movies.
Yeah.
And so it's a good opportunity to collect as much. So be prepared. I had the travel camera, which really ended up working out nicely, but I had tons of memory cards. I had the interchangeable batteries, so just to take advantage of as many pictures, as much video, and as much footage as you can.
Yeah. I mean, because the opportunities there are really countless.
Yeah.
And so and now kind of understanding more about it than I did before we went. I can see ways that we could better take advantage of those opportunities. You know, whether it is like, you know, we had a situation with Ari where, you know, we probably could have done an interview with him.
Yeah, we probably could have,
right
because we went to his book signing after.
Yeah, and it wasn't that many people there at that particular point in time, so we could have taken a couple of minutes with him just to kind of talk to him very quickly.
Yeah.
You know, I probably had a good opportunity to meet up and say a couple of different words to Nile Rodgers, you know.
Rodgers, right. Amanda Palmer, we saw her twice.
Yeah.
The guy behind Patreon, Jack Conte,
Yeah.
Ben Folds 5.
Yeah,
I mean,
Ben
they were
Folds,
just like a few feet from us, and they were in a small environment, a small group environment.
Yes.
So they were, another tip. When we went to that second Amanda Palmer session, it was in the backyard of a house. They convert these houses into bars. And
on Rainy Street.
On Rainy Street, yeah.
And a lot of stuff happens down that way.
Yeah. But so the thing is, you have this up close opportunity. The problem was the session that ended before ours, there were only maybe 50 places to sit.
Yeah.
The people in the session before did not leave.
Yes, they did.
So there was no way we could sit down. So again, plan ahead, you know, wear comfortable shoes, be prepared to stand, be prepared to wait if you want that opportunity. But still, we could have probably hung around after and ended up, you know, talking to him. But we were trying to get to something else. You know, there was so much going on. We didn't want to miss other opportunities trying to stand around and wait for one person.
Yeah, because some of the venues are quite small.
Yeah.
Even some of the clubs are quite small.
Yeah.
And so you kind of got to keep that in mind, too. And there are certain people who might just hang out at a particular place. And so, you know, they might always have those optimal spots. So you got to keep that part in mind, too. That sometimes some of the things you want to see might be a nice little distance from one another.
Oh, yeah.
So keep that in mind.
The Sam Fender, the place we ended up seeing him was called the Dive Bar.
Yeah.
And all it is a garage. I mean, literally a carport.
Right.
In the middle of a parking lot.
Yeah.
And so the band is covered under the carport, and we're all outside on the concrete.
Right.
And so, needless to say, it was weird. They encouraged people to come right up to their faces. So if you watch the video from, I think it's day three, but one of the videos, I literally, we are standing right in front of him.
Yeah.
You know, taking footage, which is weird, because if you're behind us, you won't be able to see anything.
Yeah.
But it's just odd, Austin, with them converting things into these bars.
I mean, and I think that what happens on Rainy Street is just a part of Austin. It's just the way Austin
it's just
is.
that South by Southwest took it over.
Yeah.
And like Doc Martin had a house, Fender had a house, Patreon had a house.
Yeah.
And then sometimes they would just swap out. It would be
Right.
Showtime one night and something else the next night. And then they'll wrap it in their promotional stuff, and then they'll change the whole inside. So it was
and South by Southwest took over. I think there's a Torchies or something that was
Torchies,
they
moved
right down to Rainy Street. So
they moved that whole thing on the way out. That was a parking lot again.
Yeah,
it's like they would put things up, and I think I mentioned in a couple of videos.
Yeah.
Like we knew there was evidence that things had changed. They had a basketball court and all this other stuff going on when we first got there, and then 2 days later it was gone.
Yeah.
Like what?
Yeah,
came out and it's back to whatever it was before. So
they do a good job with traffic control down there, but you got to remember that part with respect to trying to get an Uber or a Lyft, or if you're going to get a driver or something like that trying to get downtown, you're just not going to be able to do it. Unfortunately, I lost my Fitbit when I was there. And we had to go to like a Best Buy that was outside of downtown. And I mean, it was like maybe 5 minutes outside of downtown. It took us 40 minutes to get there.
Yeah, it was terrible. And then coming back, they shut a lot of the streets down around there. And so we ended up taking the long way back around.
For our Uber driver to get us back. So that's the thing to kind of keep in mind too.
So the other thing was, instead of having Ubers, they had the rentable scooters, and they were everywhere. And the bikes.
Yeah.
So that's what they encourage. So that's a danger, but it's also, I guess, a convenience for the distance and going uphill. They have a lot of hills.
Yeah.
So going uphill, the motorized scooters handles that.
Yeah.
But you have to be careful, because the scooter people, some of them are drunk, some of them don't know what they're doing. They're in the streets, they're on the sidewalks, they're everywhere, coming from every direction. They don't have horns, and a lot of them don't even say anything. They just zoom past. So.
Right. So it's kind of like maybe a 3 to 5 mile square mile radius that you're looking to kind of walk or navigate
Yeah.
through where different events could be happening at
Yeah.
different times. So that's why I think a lot of people were doing that with the scooters and
Yeah.
things like that. Because,
Or then the rickshaws too.
Yeah.
The whatever, I don't know what they call those, the bike things, and the bike person in the front and you're in the back in the
Yeah.
cab.
Yeah.
So
So
that
that's
was a way, because we
those,
saw
too.
an entire band
Yeah.
had their instruments, and they had 3 of these bicycle things with I call them rickshaws.
Right.
Taking them, because the bands were sometimes performing in different venues, like back to back to back.
Yeah.
So we would see them carrying their instruments down the street.
Yeah.
You know, so it was an experience.
Yeah, it was a crazy experience. I mean, it you know, again, I can see the upside of it. You see the upside of it from the fact that, you know, if you are fledgling, you do get that opportunity.
Yeah.
But, you know, there were a lot of major players there too.
Yeah.
And you can see how, you know, people might be upset that the major players have kind of honed in.
Yeah.
Or horned in, I should say.
Right.
On, you know, the territory of
Yeah.
the DIY
Yeah. Oh,
marketplace,
that was
you know,
another
so.
frustrating thing. A couple of the sessions used terms like DIY and other that made it seem like they were talking to our level. I mean, we're not total beginners, but we're, you know, still relatively new. And we got there and they were talking about, oh, if you got a deal, or you know, you already have a manager, you already have an accountant, you already have a lawyer. It's like, okay, when I say build team, I mean, like what Ari Hurstan was one of the few that gave actual practical, you know, usable tips for people at this level. You know, when he said build team, he meant, you know, you have a friend who likes to shoot video, get him to shoot your video. That's part of your team now.
Yeah.
You got a friend that likes to take photos, have them, you know, help you with your photos. You have a friend that likes to write, have them write your press release. You know what I'm saying? So you can build your team with people that you know,
Yeah.
who are on your level, which is probably more realistic
Right.
than this, oh, you got your team. You know, like, okay. So they were misleading sometimes. I call it clickbait.
Yeah.
Because they really weren't for what they were saying. They were saying DIY and it wasn't DIY.
Right.
So
Yeah.
again, that's why we kind of had more than one session.
Yeah, kind of going on
Overlap.
at different times. And again, sometimes you just have to take that stuff with a grain of salt. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, because sometimes you just kind of never know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
Depending on the panelists. Some of the panelists, you know, we knew. Some of them we didn't
Yeah.
know. And so, you know, it is that type of situation. And the good thing for you is that you just got to decide, okay, I'm not going to waste my time with this.
Yeah,
You know,
that's
I got
what we
something
finally.
else that's
We would
you
sit
know,
toward
lined
the
up
back,
for it. Right.
sit toward the back, sit on the edge, and then
Right.
just tip on out. I mean,
Yeah.
and it's not. I don't think it's terribly rude there because that was kind of the
Yeah,
culture.
it's almost expected because there's so many overlapping sessions.
Yeah.
You know, I think it almost is that way. I mean, because a lot of times you're trying to catch at least the essential points of one session
Mm-hmm.
and then maybe see if you can go and catch the essential points of another.
Yeah.
So in that sense, it's almost expected. You got to just be strategic. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the way it is. You
Yeah.
have to be.
And I'm gonna wrap it up. Okay, so the question is it worth it? Again, it's a hefty investment, but from your perspective, was it worth the amount that we paid?
You know, I think it was. I think in some ways we didn't necessarily get all the value out of it that
Okay.
we could have gotten. It would have been helpful to kind of know certain things going into
Yeah.
it that we didn't know now. And that's another thing. I don't know if we've addressed all your questions that you would have about South by Southwest. So, you know, feel free with this particular video
I love
to
it.
please post questions.
Yes.
Because, you know, the more questions you post, the more it makes us think.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, even for us thinking about going back next year, it kind of lets us know, okay, well, strategically, that's a good thing to kind of bring up too, and
Mm-hmm.
other things that we need to understand about it. Or there's might have just been things that we forgot to cover. So,
Right, and that we can just answer for you. If there are
Right.
enough questions, maybe we'll shoot a follow-up video.
Yeah.
The other thing is, so it was worth it.
I think
Even the
at the end
hotel,
of
because the hotel was incredibly high.
it was incredibly high, but I'm thinking that if we had a hotel that was further away, it would have been a lot harder to get down there.
Yes, to get.
Especially now that knowing that you cannot Uber down there.
No,
You just can't
and there's
do
just
it.
so much going on,
There's so much
and
stuff
we were
going
right
on.
in the heart of it.
Right.
Whereas if we had been a little further away,
It would have just been
Yeah,
ridiculous as far as
yeah.
getting back to home base and everything else. So to me, we had things that were going on right in our hotel.
That's true.
You know, which is definitely helpful.
The
So yeah, it was definitely overpriced, and I
we
understand
paid as
why.
much for the hotel as we paid for our family of 4 to go to Paris for a week.
Right. So
For the whole trip.
So yeah,
So
I mean, because you're paying for more than that.
Yeah,
you're really
you are.
paying
You
for
really
convenience.
are. You are.
And I'm just saying that
Yeah.
and there might have been other places.
Yeah.
That might have been almost as close or whatever else,
Yeah.
but you know, kind of looking at some of the other places that I saw.
Yeah, and then
you
that's
know,
the thing.
and I don't know how much those people were paying.
We were we didn't go through South by Southwest housing because they were saying, I don't know, it was closed, it was whatever from when we were trying to book, or it was more, whatever it was. We went straight through Expedia, but we ended up in the film and interactive base hotel. Yeah. Whereas the music hotel was across the way.
Right.
But once we went to the music hotel where a lot of the sessions were, we didn't like it as much. So actually our hotel experience was a lot nicer.
Yeah,
our lobby was nicer.
Right. I'm a little bit older now. And for younger kids, you know, maybe you can do an Airbnb.
Yeah.
You know, maybe you find that there was a little motel that we saw down the way.
Yeah.
You might be fine doing something like that.
Yeah,
so there are ways. There are ways to do it cheaper.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, you don't have to pay for something like that. And like you say, they got the scooters, they got things like that. They got other ways of getting around.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not jumping on a scooter. I'm not trying to break bones. I'm not trying to do that
right.
So there are different ways to do it.
Yeah. Okay, so don't forget, put your questions in, and we will address those. The things that are coming up, we have a special release coming up. What's coming up?
Go ahead, you say it.
Oh, Record Store Day is coming up. And we are, last year we just did a shout out to them and say hey and happy Record Store Day. This time we're doing a special release of an acoustic 6-song CD. Yes. So that's coming up for Record Day. It's the Honey Dipped acoustic set. Yeah. And we're gonna, we'll probably play some clips from it for you after. Record stores get exclusive access, but after that, then we'll probably play some clips for you. Yeah. Also, we have Friends and Family Facebook Groups Week, which is the first week in April 1st through whatever that week is. And the more people you invite, the person who invites the most to our Be the Next DIY Rockstar group and our Funky Happy People group, check the description for the links, will win prizes. So make sure you invite your friends and family for our Facebook Friends and Family Week. Also, Gearfest meetup. Yeah. So and that's when is Gearfest? Do we know? End of June. Okay. Yeah. End of June. So there'll be more on that coming up. Yeah, but there's a link below if you want to meet us at Gearfest. Yeah. And we want to do a jam. We're thinking about doing a jam session. Yeah, whatever. So you know, we'll be floating around there, and you know, there's plenty of instruments. Right. And now, just thinking about Gearfest sounds so small now that we've been to South by Southwest. Wow. It's ginormous. Yeah. So, yeah. So that's it. Don't forget, if you like the video, or the podcast, make sure you share with a friend who you think might benefit. And as always, if you dig the vibe, be sure to subscribe. That's right. We wish you love, peace, and chicken grease. All right. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.